Welcome back to another fantastic episode of I'm going to Talk and You're going to Listen. This is episode, I don't know, I think 102 or 103 or something. Status update on the homestead. I am losing the fight with whatever it is that's destroying, senselessly, needlessly, absolutely destroying my trees. I put them up on a deck. I put a baby thing in the way, one of those wooden things. Um, I suppose a mouse could clamber up over this or somehow squeeze through it. I guess, and then it decided to chew through a little piece of strawberry here and there, and then just chose I guess a tree at random, and then gnawed all the way through the biggest branch, and it just gnawed it down for no reason, and then just left it there to die. Um, I legitimately, I guess it's just very loosely somehow a tiny bit in the realm of responsibility, but it makes no sense. I am just at a complete loss. Um, I don't I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's happening. Um, I just I I it's a giant branch. It had tons and tons and tons and tons of leaves on it. I thought, maybe some really big fat bird, is landing on these, but um my I'm pretty sure it's coming through and eating my tomatoes and my strawberries and my little pear suckers that are trying to grow. It's just destroying everything. And this is exactly why I say, like, people, like, homesteading is very, 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 very hard. Um, just get a cat. Uh, I saw a thing where, like, you can get quote unquote like working cats. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because the last episode was really dark. I came out here to have a really nice podcast and saw that just another huge branch with tons and tons of buds and life on it. Another branch is just destroyed. And quite frankly, like, I'm literally out of options now. I don't know. I have done every single thing I can. I have brought them up to the highest point and guarded them with the most, basically everything I've got. I've stood them up straight. They're in pots. I don't even think that's the only tree. I think maybe what, I don't know. I'm just so upset and so flustered and so frustrated and so disappointed that there's just these little bastard animals that I don't even know what they do or why. Let's see, did I see if I put any? I'm trying to do the cat. I'm trying to do the cat hair thing too. I didn't try to put any cat hair in this one. We're starting to brush the cats and collect their cat hair, and just like just trying everything, trying everything we can. And get cats, okay. Get cats, and then I guess just like watch them all get massacred and I don't know. And then you got a bunch of dead cats and a bunch of destroyed trees too, I guess. I don't know. It's extremely demoralizing. Um, and then you watch these trees just trying to grow their little hearts out just as best as they can. And I don't know. Mice, first of all, part of the problem is mice can jump deceptively high. They can basically climb anything. They don't set off cameras. You can try to bait them, but I have. I think what I'll do is I'll put a trap up here and then hope that it does that, because I've got a trap down there, which is the easier trap to get to, and I've caught 2 mice with it already. Shout out Rhine Traps, RINNE Traps. Don't get them off Amazon. Go right to rhinetraps.com. This isn't a paid advertisement. They're the only traps I know that work. I've already caught 2, and then I send them all the way across the street and make sure they run off in the forest. I'm not sure if there's another one in there now. I heard another mouse last night. I don't know, my brain, I've started to be able to hear them for whatever good that's worth. And I suppose maybe like a cat theoretically could hear one, but I mean, you also can't convince cats to like stick around a certain area. Like, cats will actually go miles and then obviously get themselves in trouble with coyotes and roads. I don't want to spend tons of time on this. I'm just so frustrated. So I have some notes. I have some notes here. I don't know if this is gonna work. So we're gonna talk about music festivals first, and I'm gonna say music festivals in air quotes, as you know, places with a certain ethnicity that likes to act like complete feral, incompatible psychopaths. And this has been happening all over the world, but there's been 2 or 3 major incidents of attacks at festivals, in air quotes, here in the U.S. And then obviously there was one was it France or Spain a month or so ago, where they just started attacking everybody with syringes full of who knows what. That jumped off the news really fast. But here on stateside, in just the last 2 or 3 weeks, there's been really nasty attacks at festivals. In one case, it was a certain ethnicity effectively hunting down another ethnicity and then stomping them unconscious into the ground. The video is one of the worst videos I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen some bad ones. This is probably in the top 5 to top 10 worst videos I've ever seen. In terms of this just brutal mob violence. I know people use these videos to stoke race wars. That is not lost on me. And it is also not lost on me that these 0 IQ, feral, completely out of control animals are being used to stoke these race wars. And they complain about a certain ethnicity being supreme, and they complain about the certain other ethnicity always being held back. and then they do these exact things that are going to lead to just catastrophic consequences for them. This ethnicity is being led down a road by their own side that there is no turning back from. They will not survive this if they keep this up. Period. They will not. This will not go how they think it's going to go. People have been warning them of this for a long time. They don't get it. This is how very, 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 very bad things happen. So far, knock on wood, everybody has been very restrained. And therein is the dichotomy. You have one side being extremely, extremely restrained, and then you have the other side that completely loses their mind when they see anything happening to their ethnicity, while the optics are of their ethnicity ambushing and doing the worst things to the other ethnicity. And then they're all walking around, hands up, don't shoot, we are not armed, this is peaceful, blah, 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 blah. This is not going to go how they think they're going to go. And all I'm going to say is, everyone needs to stay away from festivals. And everyone needs to stay out of the cities and not be a part of this. Don't do the no-no stuff. Stay as far away as you can. Don't engage. Keep your mouth shut. When your stomach's doing the weird thing, you just stay far away. When your stupid idiot wives and girlfriends want to go into the city for a festival, you tell them no. When your stupid idiot wives and girlfriends want to go to a play in the middle of the urban fucking jungle, tell them no. Show them the videos of people getting fucking stomped unconscious. Okay? And you tell them the news is not showing you this because they want you to go into the cities and spend your money, and they want to go to, these cultural enrichment centers and shit. Like, this is really bad. We are on the absolute edge of a massive fucking race war. It does not have to be this way. There's only a teeny tiny certain portion of people that actually want this, which are the rich elite psychopaths. Nobody wants this. There's just a few uneducated fucking idiots being used to attack the other ethnicity to perpetuate all of this. They're just too fucking stupid to understand what they're doing. That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it not horrible. You have one side showing restraint, the other side going absolutely apeshit. Pardon the use of the animal. It is not all of them. It is a teeny tiny little bit. And management, I call them management. The government, the governors, the local government, they're not handling in this very well. I think only 2 people have been arrested out of the 12. And the only reason anyone's arrested is because the public outcry was just overwhelming. The reason why they have to do something about the public outcry is they know if they don't, shit is going to boil over. Although one side shows a lot of restraint, the other side doesn't. You get the drift. How we all as a country overcome this is by being good Christians and coming together with other Christians and figuring out how we're going to get through this all together without turning on each other because a couple of absolutely uneducated, 0 IQ freaking morons think it's hilarious to record an ambush and stomp people into the ground. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It could be any ethnicity or any identity doing this to any other culture or identity or ethnicity. Like, it doesn't matter. As Christians, everybody has to come together and identify this and say, this is bad, this is why it's bad, and this is why it's happening, and everyone needs to identify that and call that out and say, we're not going to do that. We're not going to turn on each other. That area is bad. We're going to stay out of that area. Everyone's going to stay out of that area. And then I don't know. I don't know what you do after that. You have to stay out of that area and make sure the people out of that area can't come to your area. And you run into the whole gentrification problem and you run into all kinds of other problems. I don't know. People start acting like psychopaths. So I don't know. But problem number one is that we're not even allowed to talk about this stuff. Problem number two is the media won't talk about this stuff, which means when we try to talk about it, they think we're either making it up or exaggerating or being conspiracy theorists. But the reality is, it wasn't until 2016 through 2020 and change where I saw and felt how visceral it was when a certain ethnicity was absolutely stomping the ethnicity that I'm born into, and seeing it over and over and over and over and over, but like, okay, well, I guess this is how it's going to go. That's not the only way it's going to go, but that's part of how it's going to go. And it is a very, very real, very visceral feeling, and you have to identify it, understand it, and then you have to, I don't want to say rationalize or compartmentalize, you have to put it into perspective to where you don't get killed, but you're able to put it into a context and understand what's really going on so you can identify it properly and avoid it in the future. And unfortunately, the amount, and I'll call them, I guess, landmines. Unfortunately, the amount of landmines is growing and growing and growing. You have don't be out late at night. And then you have also don't go to gas stations. And then, because you'll get jumped and jacked at the gas station. And then you have, but also watch out for intersections because the streets could be locked down. Then it's also like, but don't go to the train station because you could just completely get ambushed out of nowhere by a psycho. And then it's like, actually don't even stand too close to the roads because someone could just steal a vehicle and just drive the vehicle into you. That happened the other day. This guy stole a vehicle and just started ramming into people. And that wasn't at a festival, that was just at the bus station. That happened at a festival again too. And it happened to those what was it? I can't remember what not the Easter thing, was it the Thanksgiving thing? They were doing their little parade and the guy stole the vehicle and just ram it right through a crowd of mostly children that were doing their little parade thing. Just absolute animal. So you have to, and it doesn't matter what ethnicity it is, like any psycho can decide to just go grab a vehicle and start just ramming it through a crowd of people. So like your amount of landmines, I'll call them, are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then if you're out here in the middle of nowhere, then you got mice chewing your trees down for no reason. Unless it was a bird that just jumped up and down on it until it cracked it. But I think they're little nipples. Anyway, I'm not saying trees are people. I'm saying like there's going to be problems everywhere. The problem is in the city, and I heard another person say this yesterday. This is becoming the new, if you think I'm just being a racist or a psychopath now. This was not me that said this. Someone else said this. Oh, that's just the city being the city. And they weren't talking about an ethnicity, they were talking about an identity group, also known as Hamas LARPers and Black Bloc Antifa, card-carrying Antifa members with stickers that said, make racists afraid again. Meanwhile, they're dressed up as Hamas and Black Bloc, harassing people, random people, trying to walk up and down the road. And you ask people about them, go, that's just part of being in the city now. That's just part of being in the city. Well, okay, the guy that set, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 houses and garbage cans and dumpsters and trailers on fire, they let that fucker go. That same night that they let him go, he immediately started more fires. And then they immediately arrested him again. And I don't know if he's going to be back out again or what. So people say, well, I'll just stay in my house. These people will burn you alive in your house. And by these people, I'm talking specifically about psychopaths in general. You can't look at somebody and judge them by the character of their skin and going to figure out if they're going to be a psychopath or not. A lot of these total nutcases share the same ethnicity that I was born with too. And then you know what they do? You know what they say? Oh, typical. They see a white guy. Typical MAGA Republican. And it's like, A, that's in Portland, so probably not. B, the courts kept letting him out over and over and over again, so also probably not. Chances are, if they're letting him out over and over again, he's actually just homeless and doesn't have anything, so they have no reason to keep him in because there's nothing they can extract from them. So, you can't trust people anymore, and you can't trust, oh, just go in a crowd. Just go with a crowd. Okay, what does that mean? What does go with a crowd mean? Go with a bunch of people that you trust, that are willing to throw down, and hopefully you don't get jumped by 12 fucking people. When I was a kid, you had to worry about getting jumped. Maybe 3 people. Maybe. There were bigger brawls that were like 100 plus people when I was a kid. That was usually gang stuff. Turf wars and things. Like, you usually didn't get jumped by more than 3 people. Because that was unnecessary. I mean, maybe 5 if you took a wrong corner somewhere. Because that's just insane. You're just straight up looking for people to just murder with your murder group at that point. The problem is, so then what do? You start walking around with your own people that are that many people. That's not, you're just a tiny, a tiny tactical group at that point. Should you have to form a little tiny tactical group of 6 to 12 people to go to a concert? That, right? Which, and by the way, at the concert they're going to want to disarm all of you anyway, but the bad guys aren't going to be armed. The bad guys are going to be armed, you're going to be disarmed. It's just, we're entering a world now where people need to start really having the discussions of, you need to be associating yourself with good people that will have your back, but also B, people that are gonna stay out of deep shit if they can help it, and C, people who you can take care of and they will take care of you and you will be a unit, because the fight is here. These are all the sparks and sputters And it's an engine that ramps up. This violence is like when you're trying to start a fire and you hit the striker over and over and over again. You're trying to start the fire. That's what's going on. They're trying to start the fire. They're trying to start the race war. They're trying to get somebody to overreact, or at least have the perception of the overreaction of the reaction. An overreaction, or at least a perceived overreaction, is what they want. They go around, they attack people, they do shit, hoping for the overreaction. And if not, then they get a bunch of viral videos of them stomping out their perceived enemy. It's disgusting. It's disgusting behavior. And any ethnicity should be calling out their own ethnicity, like, or their own culture or their own identity, to knock that shit off. It's embarrassing when I see people of my own ethnicity out being homeless crackheads and doing stupid shit and trying to do all sorts of nonsense that they shouldn't be out doing. I'm not going to pretend that I identify with those people at all, but the people crafting the narrative lump us all together to keep moving their narrative forward. And I don't know how else to say, yeah, obviously that person should be in jail forever, or thrown into a wood chipper, or launched into the sun. I don't know. I don't know how else to say that. I don't know how many times I have to say that. I don't know, as a society, I don't understand why, as a society, we can't just say, no, that person, if they're unfit, and there was another one the other day, oh, they're unfit to stand trial. Motherfucker, if they're unfit to stand trial, they should not be in society. I don't know why this is even a discussion. I don't know why there is even a trial of their peers, and I don't care what ethnicity their peers are, or what political affiliation their peers are. Like, it shouldn't matter. Oh, that person's attacking children? They're done. No, the trial doesn't need to go on anymore. No, we don't need to decide the punishment. They're just done. I don't know. Go inject the stuff in them, or whatever you got to do. They're just done. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Society doesn't have the fucking balls to just go, what that person's doing is unacceptable in a modern society. They're done. They're done. Okay? They're done. And we don't have that here. Everybody would rather let murderers and pedos run around, and absolute unhinged violent psychopaths running around, than actually do something about it. They think that they have the moral high ground. There's a guy running around starting fires. How is it the moral high ground to let that guy run around, keep starting fires? How come, as a society, let alone the DA, let alone the prosecutors, let alone anybody, that goes, no, this guy started 20 fires. Oh, now he's up to 30 fires. Now he's up to 40 fires. I don't care what ethnicity is. I don't understand why society can't just go, oh, after a certain point, this is probably really bad. And they can't do that. As a society, they have just completely lost any semblance of being able to stop psychos from being psychos. Our society has been eroded down to just allowing psychos everywhere. And so what does Orange Man do? So Orange Man tries to bring back, like, the whole involuntary asylum thing again. because that's it. That's the last play. Besides just like wholesale Punisher comic booking all the bad guys, which and then all of a sudden the vigilantes will be the bad guys, and we'll have to deal with all that bullshit again. Because vigilantes are also bad because they're not the law something vigilantes. They're not accountable. Okay, nobody's accountable anymore. The judge, the courts, the entire court system, none of them are accountable. Nobody's accountable anymore. All those district court judges, we don't have a Second Amendment anymore. There's no accountability, but you can't have vigilantes because there's no accountability and they don't wear body cams. Robble. And so this whole asylum thing is like the last ditch effort, and all the new no van no RV shit is all just like a last ditch effort to try to salvage the tiny last itty bitty vestiges of society. Okay? And you got all these crying white entitled leftist middle-aged crybaby ass fucking van lifers out there in their vans living off of YouTube and sponsorships and whatever else bullshit they do, bitching that they can't park anywhere anymore. And there's I don't know if they're all leftists, but they're all middle-aged white girls for some, according to my feed anyway. And it started popping up on my Twitter too. And I don't even think the gal was left-wing. Maybe she's like in the middle or something, but she was bitching about it too. I am not disputing that has now become a challenge for them. My problem is that they have never ever been self-policing. Those van lifer overlander fuckers that all sold all their shit in 2020. They bought up all the fucking batteries for years. You couldn't get a battery to save your damn life. They like quadrupled the price of all the camping equipment. So they could sell all their houses and live out of their fucking vans for 4 years. Good for them. But you know what the problem is? None of them advocated for what the homeless are doing in the cities and how legislation's written, which is not very well, I might add. And I think everybody can agree on that. Who is and isn't a danger is like super sketchy and super squishy. I mean, it's super squishy. Who isn't a danger? Whose van is leaking, raw sewage into a storm drain? Right. So they have there's a valid premise. What that premise lacks is all the context of honestly 10 years of bullshit that have led us here. I want to say it started at Google. Google wasn't paying people enough to be able to live near the Google building, and so everybody just bought vans and parked next to the Google. I remember the pictures of it, and everyone was going out their houses, and there was just street after street after street after street of van, and they were all the Google employees. Oh, mighty, beloved, stoic, virtuous, pearl-clutching Google with all their fucking employees living in vans. And I think that's how it started. And obviously, like, homeless, they'll get whatever van they can. People have been living in their cars forever. I get it. and they get their shitty derelict RV and they go beach it somewhere and they live in their RV until the RV falls apart or burns down. There's various degrees of this, but you never hear any of these entitled ass girls speaking the truth, speaking their, they nitpick teeny tiny little bits of facts of what Orange Man is doing now with the asylums and what he's doing now. These, I don't know if they're executive orders or what they are. And I know there's a difference between like truth and facts. And you should usually err on the side of facts. But the truth is that the homeless have been abusing this system forever. But then you know what they do? They try to flip that exact same argument around and go, it's because there's no affordable housing. No. It's partially mental illness. Except unless they're unconscious, you can't, they can just deny help. Hence needing to be able to forcefully put them in asylums again. Or they just refuse to be a part of the system and want to milk off of everything that's free in the cities. And quite frankly, in my opinion, I'll just call them vantards. They want people to be able to live in their car if they need to be able to live in their car. I get that. That is different from just the absolute like dereliction of the fact that people just don't want to live in communal housing anymore. And I know they have to disarm in communal housing, and that's a huge problem. And I know the women in communal housing are under a lot of attacks, and they have really hard times getting women-only safe housing. But let's not pretend that a lot of these people want to live in their vehicles. They don't want to live in houses, which is exactly the same as all these vantards. They want to live in their vans. And then they talk about rent. They talk about this. They talk about that. They sold $250,000 to $350,000 houses to buy their truck or their, or the van and fucking deck it out. And then they're like, people can't afford housing. People can't afford rent. You're living out of a van. You work remote. You have sponsorships. You are fine. People can't do this. People can't do this. And then some of the comments, I love it. Some of the comments are like, oh, you finally now give a shit about this now that you, the most privileged of all, are finally impacted and now you give a shit. And I kind of, it's a lot of other lefties that are saying that, but they're right. Oh, now all these rich white girls all of a sudden fucking give a shit about all of the absolute scum of the earth living in derelict RVs and people down on their luck and people just trying to figure shit out and people that just got kicked out of their houses or have a violent psychotic boyfriend or girlfriend and they need to stay in their car for the night, or people who are just too tired to drive. It casts a really wide net, but now all of a sudden these girls, oh, why is it always girls? Why are all the van lifers always like middle? Anyway, that's a whole, there is a giant lump of shit to unpack there. It's true though, but there's a lot to unpack there. I don't want kids. I don't want a boyfriend. I just want to live in my van. Cool. Okay. Well, that's great until that doesn't work anymore, and then you're fucked, I guess. And it's too late for you to do anything about it because you just tried to ignore it. Here's the thing though, they can all just get up and leave. It's everybody else that's impacted by this that can't get up and leave who are the people that are really fucked. And it's not every state, but in some states you can't even like camp on somebody else's land anymore. You can't even camp on your own land anymore. There's all kinds of like weird shit. I still don't completely understand it. But long story short, it's too late to say that now. Um, I still think having a bug out van, having a camping van, is a really good idea. I still think if you watch, oh crap, stealth camping with Dave, is that what it's called? Shit, I'm forgetting his channel all of a sudden. Boondocking. There are still absolutely ways of doing it. So you can't use the apps anymore. What's her name? I can't remember her name. This gal on Twitter. She works out and stuff, and she's a van gal too. Although she might be just driving around and training right now. But I mean, that's the problem. Is like if you're traveling across country, you have to sleep somewhere in your vehicle. You shouldn't have to go get a hotel every night just so you can legally park. Like, I get it. Haley or something, I can't remember her name. But if you're trying to use the same apps that everybody else is using, that's not going to work, which she found out. And also, as other people have pointed out, parking at the rest stops, those places are very dangerous. Parking at truck stops, very dangerous. That goes to the whole minefield thing. So the answer to that is you had better have friends. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of new Airbnb thing where people, tell each other they can park in their driveways. Maybe like under a carport or something. And somebody's comment said like, don't look like a homeless person. Don't look like you're a van lifer or an overlander. It goes back to the whole gray man thing. Don't look homeless and you're not going to get treated like you're homeless. Don't have a derelict ass looking vehicle, but it doesn't need to be kitted out to look like a battle wagon either. One of those van gals had a whole video of just how to make your van look extremely discreet. Yes, they are all middle-aged white girls. I don't know why. And she showed how to do all of her camera setups, so it looked like a completely normal van. Period. And she never had to get out of it, which is ideal. She could see all directions. It was the only one of that I've seen. Like the rest of them, they're all set up like battle wagons and shit. Either that, or you better like really end up planning on going out into the absolute middle of nowhere to hunker down. But I see vans drive up our road all the time, and they don't come back until later. And I think they go park up in the woods. I don't think that's terribly safe either. So I don't really know. Like, if it was me, if I lived in a van, what I would do is I would have some money and I would try to establish a network of people with carports so I could hunker down and say, look, I'm going to be here at midnight. I'm going to be here for 6 hours and I'm leaving, and I'll leave some money under the mat for you or something. Like, because I get it. But yeah, if you're like a single mom and you've got violence coming down on you and you got to get in your car and hunker down somewhere, yeah, that's a huge fucking problem. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think the answer is to ban van lifers, even though they're obnoxious and insufferable. I don't think that's the answer. I think there's about 1 million valid reasons why people need to take a break in their car. And how is that even supposed to work for semi? semi drivers who are always sleeping in their trucks. I don't know. Maybe you have an exemption if you're a semi. Side note: in one of my videos, the gal is driving a semi, like a class C, I think. And my dream bug out vehicle was always like a big class C, like Western Star, big beast. And then you're not only are you super protected, but you can just say, "Well, I'm at my hours, so I have to take a break." You know what I mean? I don't know. Um, see, how am I doing? Um, I lost my train of thought a little bit there. Just don't make it look like you're camping. Don't make it look like you're a derelict vehicle. If you can just blend in a Walmart, blend in at a Walmart. Okay? Don't draw attention to yourself. Camping with Steve, like that, bar none. Okay, that's the one. That's the one guy, I guess, is camping with Steve. He has, I don't know, hundreds of videos explaining how to do this, and the mindset and the mentality and the times to come in, and getting out early, and just like rolling with it and being cool. I know gals have a whole different can of worms to deal with, especially when they're on YouTube, because they have guys trying to actively hunt them, which is just insane. But again, like, you want that freedom, you have to figure out how to operate in those boundaries. And I think my point to all of it is like, stop trying to act like you're some kind of evangelist for homeless people. um, I've been in that situation, and work wouldn't let me sleep in their garage. Okay? And so, like, what the fuck are you supposed to do? Okay? That's the problem. Like, nobody wants to deal with it. So then what do? You gotta figure it out. Okay, we'll talk about that. Leave a comment down below if you think XYZ. I believe the next topic is SIG 320s. Let's talk about SIG P320s real quick. I'm gonna drink water though. It's hot as shit out here. Alright, I'm staring at my poor tree again, and I'm trying to remember if there is a way where you could just like tape the tree back on and it would heal itself. Graft the tree back on, tape the tree back on, and have everything. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll go in the house and I'll try to find some tape, and I'll try to tape the tree back on. And I'll shove a bunch of cat hair in there. Maybe that's what I'll do. Anyway, because it looks like it just happened. Anyway, SIG P320s. A lot of very, very, very smart people finally got with the program, started taking their SIG P320s apart, and they think they finally have it nailed down. Pun not intended. I should have brought mine out here so I can hold it while I'm articulating it, but I couldn't carry it. Long story. When you hold the slide down to the frame, there's some play there, and apparently that's potentially enough if the tolerance is out or out of whack for this catch to slip off, and then the firing pin can go. And it looks like it's a problem between like 3 to 5 parts combined that can cause this to happen. And I don't think it has anything to do with the safety. I think it can fire without the safety. I put a new trigger on mine earlier today because I wanted to see if that would not fix it but mitigate it. And it kind of does in a funny way, because I was watching one of the videos that explained it, and me and a bunch of guys were talking on Twitter, and like, what if just throwing a new trigger on this thing that has the little I call them like double triggers, but some people call them a dingus, and I don't know why. I call them double triggers, or a two-stage trigger. The trigger actually stops and turns into a dead trigger if you don't have your finger all the way around it to where it hits both stages of the trigger at the same time. And if anyone's interested, that down in the comments below. Not like I think anybody made it this far. I've probably pissed off like the last two people to watch this. Maybe, I don't know. If you're interested in that trigger, let me know, and I'll throw it down in the shopping list. I would say though, I'm not carrying this thing anywhere with a round in the chamber. And I think SIG needs to buy every single 320 back and re-engineer the firing control group. And what has confused a lot of people, I can't remember if it was Ian from Forgotten Weapons. I think SIG confused a lot of people by making, the first time it wasn't drop safe, they kind of got out of it being a recall by calling it a voluntary upgrade. I don't know how the hell that worked. But it hasn't really registered in people's brains that there's like been a real problem. Partially, in my opinion, because the gun tuber community with their engagement bait, rage bait bullshit have turned it into a giant fucking meme for like 6 years now, and just use it to gain engagement. They haven't been serious about it. And now is the first time, unfortunately, an airman lost their life. Circumstances are still fuzzy, but it involved a 320 and a round in the chest, I think, from what I understand. It seems like the combination of things that happen are people with flashlights on their SIG P320, when it holsters, it's compressing the slide down a little bit, and there's just enough play in the fire control group, and then if they sit down or walk or move it, it's like two L shapes that are kind of holding on to each other, kind of. I'm not an engineer. Those two pieces can come undone, which is only supposed to happen when the trigger pulls. Now, most of the YouTube videos are showing this happening when the trigger is right up against where it would break. Break meaning release the firing pin. But I think if they're really, really, really worn down and out of tolerance, and then the flashlight, which is on the pick rail, gets compressed with the upper, that can come unhinged. And I think that's why every single video that I am aware of is it always firing in its holster, including the one with the airman. And I think that's why. And I think a lot of other people are slowly coming to that conclusion, that there's a couple parts out of tolerance, and or maybe made with like, I can't even say these are made with like shitty material. I just think they're out of tolerance. And the fact that there's so much play in the between the upper and lower, because of the way this this firing control mechanism works. Anyway, I am relieved that the teeny tiny YouTubers with almost no viewers at all and almost no subs at all are doing what the big gun tubers should have done years ago, instead of shitting on it and haha and memes and lol SIG bad. If they had held SIG legitimately responsible 5 or 6 years ago, this would not have happened. But they love to just run their fucking mouths so much, and I'm not naming names because it's a lot of them. If they would have just looked into it instead of running their mouths in lol, SIG, ha ha ha, funny joke, we wouldn't be in this situation. But now SIG just gets to just roll with it. The problem is there's millions of these in circulation, and if the military and the Air Force and everybody else doesn't pull their M17s and M18s, nothing's ever going to hold SIG responsible, and they're just going to move to the next platform. And I think a world needs to exist where SIG takes responsibility and fixes these. Okay? I don't know how that works. I don't know how that looks. I know it's going to cost them a lot of money. It's gonna suck, and somebody's probably gonna lose their job. But like, we have people that take less responsibility for jets falling out of the sky. Cough, cough. Boeing Max. What were those called? Boeing 737 Max. Is that what those were called? Then the Rona happened, and everybody forgot there was just jets falling out of the sky before Delta made it cool. And I think that's the problem now. Maybe just to bring this whole bullshit around, is that I think people have become so immune, the normies have become so immune to tragedy, that even when the news, because the news has been running shit, anti-320 shit for years, everybody has tuned that out. And then the gun tubers have been talking about it for years, getting their clicks and getting their jerks off, making money from ad revenue, shitting on SIG P320s. Now that we actually finally know what the problem is, I think it is going to be next to impossible to get SIG to do anything about it. And they just released a huge bulletin saying that what is happening is impossible, despite quite a few very smart people on YouTube, I think, finally figuring it out and putting the pieces together. So if you carry a 320, do not carry it probably at all. And if you're going to carry it to the range, only chamber it when that shit is pointed down range already. And do not fucking reholster that damn thing with a round in the chamber. Period. Because it is really, after watching these videos, it is really, really, really obvious. The tragedy, not only does the military still have to carry this thing, and a lot of police still have to carry this thing, as one of the Hickok 45 pointed out, there could very well be people where this is the only pistol they have and they can't afford anything else right now. Or their whole ecosystem is in 320s because they thought it was great. And I also want to say, 320 was my dream pistol ever since the first day they came out and I held one at the gun show. This 320 is what I want. In fact, it's in a bunch of my books. The 320 was my dream pistol for years and years and years and years. And I finally fucking got one. And to see this shit, first of all, to see everybody make fun of it pissed me off. And then nobody took it seriously, even though it seemed pretty serious. And it's like, well, should I carry this thing? Should I not carry this thing? Should I sell it? Should I not sell it? Should I work on it more? Should I not work on it? Because the 320 is like pistol adult Legos, kind of. But now, I feel like I don't feel like I fucked up. I feel like SIG fucked up. and lied to everybody. And you could say, oh, the signs were there, the signs were there. No, there's a bunch of piece of shit engagement bait gun tubers bitching, just like they did with the 365. The 365, the very, very, very first ones, drug the firing pin across the primer just a tiny bit. They roasted that thing incessantly. It was the ass of jokes for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. SIG fixed it, and you never heard about it again. But this other thing, they roasted it and roasted it, and the problem is when you turn something into a meme, it becomes a joke. Well, now the 320 thing is fucking serious. And now there's millions of them, and they're dead weight. Ha ha ha, use it as a doorstop. Fuck you. Like, what are you supposed to do with it? It's cool. They're still cool. But you dare not fucking chamber that thing until you're ready to go. And I've talked about this in prior YouTube videos. You need to trust something literally with your life and with your family's life, whether it's a vehicle or, whether, or if it's carrying a pistol loaded. And it takes a long time to build that trust. And I have never had that trust with the 320. Always something just in the back of my mind. Something just didn't. I knew there was something there, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know how to figure it out. And it wasn't until I was putting my new trigger in and watching the videos to where I can, like, okay, I can see the play in this thing now. I'm looking at the trigger mechanism. I can see how this would happen. I can see why this trigger is an improvement. It doesn't fix it, but it's an improvement. SIG has got to completely rip the guts out of the 320 and completely redesign the firing mechanism. And everybody with their stupid jokes, they should have like, go design your own firearm then, dummy. Just get a Glock. I don't want a fucking Glock. I like Springfield is what I like, but Springfield keeps doing dumb shit too. Springfields are safe, but they keep doing dumb shit that I don't like in their designs. And I think Glocks are just clunky. And I wanted the 320 because I like the concept of a drop-in fire control group. And what I didn't know is that Springfield came out with one called the Echelon. And Springfield also has their own kind of 365-ish kind of a thing called the Hellcat. But by the time the Hellcats were really out, we already had 365 mags. And the stupid-ass mag ban thing had come to Washington, and it was kind of too late. And Washington is stuck in this bullshit middle ground now, where, like, you can own the pistols and you can own the mags, but you can't really buy new mags. And, like, I don't know if I can go buy a new Echelon now. Even if I could, even if I wanted to, I might be able to, but I just won't be able to get mags for it, which is so gay. Anyway, okay, so that's the 320 thing. If you have any 320 questions, let me know down below. All right. Lastly, I'll say there's tons and tons and tons of job boomer shit going on. My heart goes out to everybody trying to find a job right now, and my heart also goes out to everyone trying to figure out where they're going to live now if they lost their job. And sorry, you're not going to be able to live in a van, probably, unless you have someone's house that you can go hide at. Do not listen to what the boomers are saying about jobs. I am sick and tired of people saying there's still jobs out there. Unless you have a very, 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 very specific brand and you bring very exceptional, specific skills to the table that are exactly what they need, you are fucked. You are going to be replaced by an AI or an H1B or automation, or you're just going to be outsourced, or all four. We are looking at 90% inflation. The stupid Fed, which is getting a $3 billion building, is freezing rates still. And there's a wonderful breeze coming through here, and I don't feel like I'm being irradiated by the sun anymore. And I don't know what people that are trying to find jobs are going to do. It's too late to get into AI, almost. It's almost too late to get into crypto. And unless you have some kind of unique set of skills, you're going to have a really tough time. You're going to have to figure something out. Everybody is going to have to be an entrepreneur. And that doesn't mean that all the gals need to get on OnlyFans or go by Vans or both. It just means like you're going to have to start making yourself very marketable and very useful somehow, and make very, very wise choices with who you orbit around. There's a gal in New York that's car sitting cars all day so they don't get towed and ticketed when the street sweeper people come through. Okay? Like, yeah, that was on a Seinfeld. Fuck Seinfeld. This is the real world. Okay? So, you are your own entrepreneur and your own advocate, and you have got to figure out what the fuck you're going to do. That means getting rid of your stupid ass Netflix, getting rid of all the bullshit, consolidating everything you can, getting down to the bare minimum. And like I said in my last episode, take a day off and just pretend you don't have a fucking job and figure out what you're going to do. That means exploring your second side hustle, your third side hustle, your fourth side hustle, and building roadmaps for all of it. You know, that's all I can say. Don't argue with the boomers. They are fucking morons. A lot of them were going to be retiring in 2018 or 2019. The Rona happened. They sat at home and didn't do shit for 3 fucking years because they have no marketable skills. They are objectively useless, most of them. The market has outpaced their skills. They milked the market for 3 more years, and then they retired as soon as return to office came back. Some of them really, really knew their shit, but they would not have cut it trying to get back into the market. Some of them had retired and come back for one last hurrah to make a little bit more boomer money to go along with their boomer check and their boomer medical. But a lot of them are fucking useless. They're retired now, and they have nothing better to do than to sit online and talk shit. And all they do is discourage everybody who's trying to figure out what the fuck to do. They don't believe that ghost jobs exist. They're too senile to understand that AI has basically taken over. They don't, even if you gave them an AI, they wouldn't know how to utilize it for anything. Even if they could figure out how to get it to work, they wouldn't know how to apply it. And they don't understand the layoffs. They don't understand the replacement. You know what they say? It doesn't matter. I'm retired. I worked my whole life. I'm retired. I deserve this. I earned this. And you're just a little piece of shit. Like, you're a fucking retired old piece of shit is what you are. And they're all sitting on their houses that are either paid off or no interest. They have no bills. They have no fucking debt. And all they have to worry about is their Medicare, Medicaid, boomer check bullshit. And sit there and fucking complain and discourage people all day. And if you're job hunting now and you're struggling and you're trying to figure out how to make ends meet, Taking advice from those assholes is the last thing on the planet you should do. They do not know what the fuck they're doing. Period. They could not make it in this market if their lives depend on it. They do not have marketable skills, or they would still be working because there's no reason to retire. They only retired because they couldn't cut it. And now they just purely exist to shit on everybody while they collect their boomer checks. Fuck those people. And I have a lot of friends that retired during the Rona. But they were good, hard-working people. And they do not sit there and talk shit to people all day. They're out living their life. And if they ever wanted to come back, they would be welcomed back in 2 seconds with open arms because they knew what the fuck they were doing. And they worked hard and they shut up and they didn't sit around discouraging everybody. They helped you learn your job. They taught you stuff. You could teach them stuff. You all worked together and plugged away as a team. These assholes are sitting online disparaging everybody because their lives are meaningless. And they just want to shit on people. They can't move because they can't afford to get away from their house with zero interest, and they're just sitting around being a piece of shit all day. And you just gotta ignore them, block them, ignore them. They're not gonna help you. They're gonna post some job on Indeed that doesn't fucking exist. Or even worse, they're going to send you to some Google Doc that's going to hack your computer. And then they're going to laugh at you because they fucking hate you. Here's the reality of it. Their social security is going to be gone in a couple years. They're going to be fucked. Their bank accounts are going to get scooped up into digital currency. They are going to be broke. And they are going to have no friends. They're going to have no preps. And they're just going to be fucked old people. You have to figure out not only your job situation, but you got to figure out how you're going to be dealing with the changeover to digital currency soon. Because that law passed. A US stablecoin is coming, period. And you've got to figure out what you're going to do about it. I don't know if that means you want to buy Bitcoin, or if you're in a state where gold and silver are currencies, and there's about 7 or 8, maybe that's what you want to do. Some states that's going to work. Some states that's not going to work. It might mean getting some land and planting an orchard and guarding that orchard with your life, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm not going to tell anybody that what they're doing is right or wrong, unless you're a psycho. Like, shit is either going to work for you or it's not. That might mean you learn to build robots until the machines can build themselves, I guess. That might mean you learn to repair stuff, right? Like, I don't know, but try to figure it out, because shit is going to get real soon. And the more you can use AI now to build the moat around the business that you're trying to build, the better off you're going to be. Because my belief is that when AI gets just a little bit better, they're going to take it away from us. They're mass building AI data centers in the Midwest. They were going to build them in the West Coast, but the grid couldn't handle it. They're going to be building them in the Midwest with microgrids. We're not getting any of that power. The Midwest is going to be inundated with data centers, and the U.S. is going to try to become the world leader in both electrical generation and AI and then try to sell its AI computing power. You will not get any of that money. With all the robo-taxis, you will not get any of that money. I can't remember if it was Livingston Man in Hudson Valley or if it was one of them was just talking about it. The top 1% is consolidating all their power and all their money. All this shit is happening at the same time. Intel, massive layoffs. Nike, layoffs. All of them. Every single company is doing the same thing. They all only do this when one thing's happening. And by the way, you still have the Fed not changing interest rates. Something huge is coming. And you've got to try to figure out how you're going to hedge into it. That might mean getting a drone, doing a little drone business. That might mean getting a little 3D printer and having a little 3D printer business. Keep in mind everyone else is trying to do this shit too, because it might work in your area, it might not work in your area. Try to make yourself useful and orbit around people who aren't giant pieces of shit. I'm going to try to tape my little piece of tree together. If it'll fit back together, it's worth a try. I keep just snipping them off, but this piece is still kind of alive. It's not dying. So if I pissed you off, like maybe it was just a misunderstanding. I'm not gonna pretend like anybody even listens this far. If you're like one of the two people that listen this far and you know what I'm trying to say, then I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you all down in the comments. Bye.